Good evening. Welcome to The Big Story. I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Riza Diaz.
Tonight's big stories, an emotional former Iloilo City Mayor Jed Mabilog tells lawmakers why he suddenly disappeared and sought asylum in the United States. He claimed that the Duterte administration pushed him up against the wall and even forced him to tag opposition personalities to the illegal drug trade.
Now it's the Quad Committee's turn to cite Alice Guo in contempt. That's for evading the many questions of the lawmakers about her identity, escape overseas, and the pogo right in her backyard when she was still mayor of Bamban.
And the Commission on Elections lays down the rules for use of social media and artificial intelligence in the campaign for next year's midterm elections. Later on, we speak to COMELEC Chairman George Garcia for clarity. Well, after 7 years of hiding in the United States, former Iloilo City Mayor Jed Mabilog spoke before the House Quad Committee to speak about former President Rodrigo Duterte's controversial narco list.
Now, during the hearing, Mabilog recounted an incident after he left the Philippines for Japan in 2017 due to fear for his life.
Mabilog also bared an alleged plot to link former opposition senators to the illegal drug trade. Maria Enriquez has the big story tonight.
Sana ang nadanasan naming paghihirap na durog, persecution, trauma, at saka walang-wala ay hindi po mararanasan ng iba. At mananaig ang katotohanan at hindi ang pamumulitika o personal na interes ng ilan.
7 years of suppressed emotions poured out from former Iloilo City Mayor Jed Mabilog, who was included in the unverified 2017 drug watch list of former President Rodrigo Duterte's administration. In his prepared speech, the mayor recounted the repeated threats made against him by Duterte, which led him to fear for his life.
The mayor of Iloilo City, I identified him. This is broadcast. I said, you're next. Patayin talaga kita.
Alam po nating lahat, hindi lamang po ito basta-basta pagbabanta. Kayang-kaya niya pong totohanin ito. Labag man sa kalooban, kinailangan po naming lumisan at wag na munang bumalik sa Pilipinas.
Due to these threats, Mabilog went into self-exile for 7 years and sought political asylum in the U.S. in 2019. The former mayor believes that politics was the reason his name suddenly included in the drug watch list.
Do you believe that it was the former president that actually put you in that initiated list that you're talking about?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe that, Your Honor.
In August 2017, while Mabilog was in Japan, he reportedly received a call from a PNP regional director inviting him to Camp Crame. Mabilog then spoke with then PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa, who expressed belief in his innocence and promised to help him return home. But just a few minutes later, another general called Mabilog to warn him.
His voice was grim. Mayor, do not return. Your life is in danger. The accusations against you are all fabricated. But if you go to Crame, you'll be forced to point fingers to an opposition senator and a former presidential candidate as drug lords.
Even Mabilog's wife received a text message from a general's spouse warning her not to return home as their house was surrounded by armed men. Congressman then asked, who is the opposition senator and former presidential candidate being implicated as a drug lord?
Better you answer yes or no. Is it Senator Marroas, former Senator Marroas?
Yes, sir.
Oh, is it former Senator Drilon, which is your cousin?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it is all about politics. It is all about politics. Kaya, yung Duterte's list, again, from the statement of Colonel Espinido, napakalinaw po na it does not gone through vetting and validation. Pagkalaban ka sa politika, nasa listahan ka.
Former Senator Franklin Drilon and Mar Rojas have not yet made a statement about the matter. When asked why Mabilog did not file a complaint against former President Duterte, he said he has forgiven him. He also mentioned that Duterte was immune from lawsuits at the time. But now that the former president is a private citizen, House Committee on Human Rights Chairman Benny Abante believes that laws exist to hold those who have committed wrongdoings accountable. Meanwhile, former Cebu City Mayor Tomas Osmeña also testified at the hearing. He shared information he allegedly received that retired police Colonel Regina Garma was collecting a payoff of 1 million pesos every week. Garma was a police officer transferred from Davao to Cebu City at that time. Garma was a no-show at the hearing, citing neck and ear pain as the reason. On the other hand, House Committee on Public Accounts Chairman Joseph Stephen Paduano revealed that Davao City Representative Pulong Duterte has expressed his intention to attend and take part in the upcoming hearing on the drug war deaths and the illegal drug trade in the country. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Well, the second part of the House Quad Committee hearing tackled offshore gaming, and a major pogo players there for the first time dismissed Bamban City Mayor Alice Guo. But just like in the Senate, Guo repeatedly refused to answer questions, invoking her right to self-incrimination. And just like in the Senate, Guo was cited in contempt by House panel leaders for lying and dodging their inquiries. Guo also denied several new information revealed in the investigation, including her endorsement of offshore gaming operator Zun Yuan to the Municipal Council. Now, it was Guo's running mate and Vice Mayor Leonardo Anunciacion who said that Guo had the Pogo firm's request put on the agenda of one council session. Zun Yuan had asked the council for a letter of no objection, a PAGCO requirement before the firm can operate. State investigators believe Zun Yuan is just another name for Hongsheng Gaming Corporation, a Pogo raided back in February 2023. Zun Yuan is in the same compound as Baofu, a real estate company that Guo incorporated. And now, as we speak, the House inquiry into offshore gaming is still in full swing. And again, dismissed Bamban Mayor Alice Guo has been cited in contempt about an hour ago, and she will be detained at the lower chamber for now. So let's now talk to Congressman Dan Fernandez of the House Quad Committee. He's joining us via Zoom this evening. Congressman, good evening, and thank you for joining us here on The Big Story.
Yeah, good evening. Susie ba? Susie eh? Lady, good evening sa inyong dalawa.
All right, Congressman, patuloy pa rin po ang House Quad Committee hearing. Ano na po ba ang tinatakil as of the moment? And what were the highlights for you today?
We are discussing pa rin yung Pogo right now. No? Basically, ito naman talaga yung aming issue that we have to tackle. Binigyan lang namin ng importansya as well, the presence of former Mayor Jed Mabilog, and also the former mayor of Cebu as well, that they have traveled from a different part of this country. Kaya sabi namin, it's better that they have given their statement. But the totality of the schedule of the hearing is all about Pogo.
Congressman, did we get any information bago at that matter from Alice Guo in this said hearing? Kasi panay ang sabi nga niya, she don't want to answer.
Yeah, well actually, there are times that she's answering naman our query, and basically siguro nakikita natin that she's being careful doon sa mga statements niya that are being given to the Quadcom. And there are those questions as well that need to be clarified.
Congressman? All right, seems like we lost Congressman Dan Fernandez's connection, but we will try to get back to him later on the program. He was talking about, of course, the Pogo issue being tackled in the House Quad Committee. That's today. And this is the first time actually that Alice Guo is facing lawmakers at the House. All right, we have Congressman Dan Fernandez back on the line. Kong, can you hear us okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sorry. Nawawala yung line here as I'm still in here in the Congress. So I'm sorry about it.
All right. Congressman, Alice Guo requested for an executive session earlier. We actually have her soundbite. If we can just roll that quickly.
Yeah, yes.
I'm willing to tell the truth. Basta paniwalaan nyo lang po ako at huwag nyo lang po isipin na nagsisinungaling po ako. Sasabihin ko naman po lahat ng totoo po sa inyo sa executive session
Truth
po.
saan? Saan truth? Truth saan?
Kung sa paano po ako pinaalis at saka po dun sa tinanong po ni Kong Eming po kanina. Sasabihin ko po lahat ng totoo at walang kulang, walang dagdag po. Yung mga akusasyon po na sinasabi po nila na marami po akong alam sa ganito, yung mga hindi po totoo, wala rin po ako talaga masasabi. Ang masasabi ko lang po kung ano lang po yung alam ko po.
Halimbawa, tanungin ka ngayon ni Congressman Pascual, sinong opisyal ng PNP o ng local government ang tumulong magpataka sa iyo?
Your Honor, wala pong local government, wala rin pong PNP.
Napaka-imposible naman yan na walang local official na kasabwat ng pagtakas mo.
Your Honor, dahil wala naman po talagang ako nakausap para sa pag-alis po namin, kaya hindi rin po ako pwede mag-fabricate din po. Yung kausap ko po, foreigner po.
Wala nga mangyayari pagkakaganyan.
Okay, so we all agree that we will not grant her an executive session.
All right, Kong Dan, do you just want to comment more on this decision of the House to reject itong request ni Alice Guo for an executive session po?
The reason why we never permitted yung kanyang request for an executive session precisely because we all know that she will be mentioning na rin yung mga Chinese personalities. And we all know that the Chinese person that she's going to mention in the executive session is not here anymore in our country. And para lang mapagbigyan natin yung query ng one of the congressmen who are asking for the executive session, I prepare a piece of paper and asking her to write those names that he wanted to mention in the executive session. And true enough, yung mga pangalan na nakalagay dito ay were involved in the operation of the Pogo. So basically, we all know about this person already, and in confidence, we will be giving this to the immigration for them to put this person in the notification. Para na sa doon, if ever that he plan to go here, the authorities can apprehend him.
Congressman, Alice Guo was cited in contempt. Balikan po natin yung nangyari ng araw na to. What actually triggered that?
The reason why she was cited for contempt? Because there are questions that need to be answered that not in relation to her being put into on discrimination, self-incrimination. But unfortunately, medyo nalilito na siguro tong si Alice Guo in answering what are those that will incriminate her. But those questions that are being asked, hindi naman siya incriminatory. And that's the reason why medyo napipikon na rin yung mga congressman. That's the reason why she was cited in contempt. And I think we will be tackling this after the Quadcom, yung suspension namin mamaya. We will be discussing yung repercussion ng jurisdiction over Alice Guo if ever that we will put her under our jurisdiction. You have to remember that there is an order of the court to put her under the PNP custody. But of course, we need to have the authority coming from the court as well para we can take jurisdiction over her.
Congressman, ano namin na to this is our opportunity to ask you because you're holding on to that piece of paper where she wrote the name. Would you say that this personality is someone that, of course, is kilala? Malaking pangalan po ba ito?
Oh, well, siguro doon sa kanilang operation, medyo kilala to sa operation nila. Pero kung ordinary citizens lang ang mag-appreciate ng pangalan na nakalagay dito, I think medyo mahihirapan silang i-appreciate. But this Chinese personality that I've seen in this piece of paper is a big name on the operation. So I think the proper way to address this person is to give this to the SOJ.
Kong Dan, until when are you planning to detain Alice Guo? Ibabalik po ba siya sa PNP Custodial Center in Camp Crame or will she be transferred somewhere else?
So, kasi we haven't decided for that yet. You have to remember that a while ago I give the information to the Quadcom that our facility here are full already with detainees. So I think we have to discuss it properly. Where to put Alice Guo if ever that we will take cognizance on her. Siguro mamaya after the hearing I can give some information, but for right now I am going to withhold the information where Alice Guo will be put whether in the PNP or in the House of Representatives.
Congressman, meron na po ba nga date as to when is the next hearing?
Most likely, we will be having a hearing on Thursday next week. And we will be discussing the EJK and most likely also part of POGO. But I'm sure that EJK will be discussed next week.
Congressman, ito naman po, shifting gears, do you expect Davao Representative Paulo Duterte to join the next quad hearing po? Ano po yung inaasahan nyo?
Well, it will be better for Congressman Paulo Duterte to appear on the Quadcom, para to ventilate his mga queries and questions to the Quadcom. There's a lot of communication crossing over to one group and to his group. But I think since he is a member of this 19th Congress, para maiwasan na po yung mga ganong exchanges of different written requests, better na lang for the Congressman of Davao to be a part of the Quadcom committee para to have an easy deliberation of the issues that he wanted to ventilate and be replied on.
Kung tanungin na rin namin, how about the invitation for former President Rodrigo Duterte and Senator Bato de la Rosa? Will you be compelling them to attend or does the parliamentary courtesy stand?
Yeah, I think yung compelling him to be a part of the discussion in this Quadcom necessitate no further invitation because yung invitation po namin is an existing one. And it is for them to decide whether they're going to accede to our invitation or not. But we will be happy and accommodating if ever that they will be being here in the next Quadcom. But of course, that decision lies with them. So for now, we will be accepting the different resource persons that we have invited. And basically, we have a lot of resource persons that need to be accommodated. So hindi naman po kami nagmamadali sa invitasyon sa ating pong Senator Bato and also to the former president.
Well, Congressman, speaking of the former president, his former spokesperson, Attorney Harry Roque, he did say hindi daw po siya pugante. Do you have any idea na po where Attorney Harry Roque is? What's the latest news on him? Sir, do you have any intelligence reports on that?
Well, actually, yesterday I was refraining from saying that he is a fugitive, considering that the Quadcom will held this hearing today. So we're giving him a chance to be a part of our deliberation. But unfortunately, he chooses not to appear on this Quadcom. So, well, basically, our contempt order that was issued against him stays, and we can now say that sa pag-islam niya sa amin without any words of explaining why, officially, kasi he's always talking sa social media. And so dito sa amin, hindi namin na-receive yung kanyang explanation, then we can consider legally that he is now a fugitive. So, doon naman po sa issue ng whether the PNP and the Sergeant at Arms will continue to look for him, rest assured that our Sergeant at Arms at ang ating pong kapulisan ay patuloy siyang hanapin. But I heard that there are some pillars already that he wanted to surrender. I think not on us, but I heard sa NBI ata, but hindi ko alam kung what will be the decision of the Quadcom. And siguro, we just have to wait, ano? Baka mamaya, he will still communicate with us.
Well, actually, Congressman, isa yun sa mga what Attorney Harry Roque criticized sa kanyang Facebook Live video, the conduct of the hearings ng House. He did say yung mga pasigaw-sigaw daw or pag hindi nagustuhan yung sagot, masasite daw in contempt. So, just what are your thoughts on that, ano, Congressman?
Well, this is the power that was given to us by the 19th Congress. You have to remember that we are governing our conduction of our committee hearing through a rules that was approved by the whole of the members of the 19th Congress. And these rules under Section 11 empower the committee to cite anybody, resource persons that violates our own rules. So I think yung sinasabi niya that we are shouting or we are trying to cite them in contempt. It's just a part of it. And, well, basically, different congressmen have different style. And you cannot blame each and every one of us because that's our style of having to find out and to ferret out the truthfulness of what the research person is saying or not. And yun na nga, it will be a form part of the collation of all the information that we will be gathering in order to have a more substantial and effective laws that we will be planning to make or amend in the existing laws.
All right. Well, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Congressman Dan Fernandez of the Quad Committee. Now we're going to pause for a quick break, but up next, the Commission on Elections issues the guidelines on the use of social media, artificial intelligence, and internet technology for digital campaigns in the 2025 polls. Now, how will the COMELEC do that? Joining us later to discuss this is COMELEC Chairman George Garcia. Keep it here. Welcome back. You're still watching The Big Story here on One News.
Now, more than a week before the filing of Certificate of Candidacy for the 2025 midterm polls, the COMELEC has released guidelines for online campaigning. According to COMELEC Resolution number 11064, candidates are required to register all of their internet-based campaign platforms. Now, this includes official social media accounts and pages, websites, podcasts, and vlogs, all of which must be registered before December 13 of this year.
So alam natin ang 2025 election onwards, labanan ito ng makabagong teknolohiya, labanan ito ng pwedeng foreign intervention or interference sa pamamagitan ng social media. And therefore, we will not just be sitting ducks here. We will fight, we will regulate, and in order to ensure equal opportunity, equal access for all.
The COMELEC will also allow the use of artificial intelligence, but candidates must declare its use accurately. Now, what they strictly prohibit is the use of deepfakes or manipulating the face and voice of a personality to spread misinformation. Now, any dissemination of fake news will not be tolerated either.
Actually, inaamin naman natin na napakahirap talagang i-cover ang lahat. Pero at least, sana ma-appreciate ng mga kababayan natin. Ito ang kauna-unahang pagkakataon na ginawa ito ng COMELEC. At least the COMELEC is now doing something to combat yung mga malicious na mga information, fake information, misinformation, and disinformation.
Now, how does the COMELEC plan to enforce its new guidelines on the use of social media and AI in the 2025 midterm polls? Let's ask that question and more with COMELEC Chairman Attorney George Garcia. He's joining us over the phone this evening. Attorney, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Ma'am Rita, Ma'am Pauline. Good evening.
Attorney, okay, what prompted the Commission on Elections, COMELEC, kayo po, to implement regulations on social media and including artificial intelligence for this upcoming midterm polls?
Ma'am Pauline, Ma'am Rita, we have to understand that this is a new ball game altogether. We are in the advent of a new and modern technology,
such as technologies in the internet. Unfortunately, until today, we do not have social media regulation in the Philippines. And the reason is because it may intrude into something which is unconstitutional, such as what we call as the freedom of speech and the freedom of expression. But nonetheless, the COMELEC must be able to do something in order to combat this misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. And that's the reason why the COMELEC decided, number one, we should really regulate social media. Number two, we should really regulate AI. Number three, we should really prohibit or ban the use of these fakes because it's really fake. So why should we even allow the use of the same? And at the same time, we must be able to talk and coordinate closely with the platforms so that they'll be the one, again, to police their own rank.
All right, Attorney, the COMELEC will be allowing the use of artificial intelligence, but candidates must declare its use accurately. But I'm curious, Attorney, what examples of AI are allowed? Kasi when we talk about AI, usually ginagamit po nga yan, as you mentioned, for deepfakes, creating negative content. So how can artificial intelligence be used in a positive way in the campaign of these candidates?
Madami naman pa, Ma'am Risa, Ma'am Pauline, ng mga ilang aspeto ng AI na we honestly believe. Like, for example, even in media, kayo po, when you edit something, then you are actually using artificial intelligence. In our daily lives, very clear na lagi tayo may ginagamit artificial intelligence, although we may not know it, but even using your television, that's artificial intelligence. So what we are saying is, hindi naman talaga siya masama. Kaya lang, there are certain aspects of AI which we honestly believe should be regulated if not completely banned. Yun nga katulad ng binanggit nyo, yung deepfakes. At surely, ma'am, that cannot be allowed. That should be prohibited simply because try to imagine as if that person is the one talking. The face is actually that of the person. The voice is that of the person. But technically and realistically, hindi naman pala doon sa tao talaga yan. So, that is misrepresentation. When you are campaigning, you are trying to introduce yourself to the people na ikaw yun mismo. Why should you even use artificial intelligence whenever you are facing the people or introducing yourself? And just the same, these fakes can be used to malign, to destroy the credibility of another just because the other happens to be the other candidate.
All right, COMELEC, speaking of that, Attorney George Garcia, how does the COMELEC plan to handle itong dissemination of deep fakes or yung tinatawag nating manipulated media? I mean, how can we tell alin yung legit, as you mentioned, ano yung ito-tolerate ng COMELEC during the campaign period?
Number one, close monitoring. We will have to hire a lot of people. Number two, we'll have to closely coordinate with platforms. Katulad halimbawa before, kapag nagre-request tayo na i-take down yung mga nakalagay sa social media, it will take months for them to remove. Samantalang if we will have very close coordination with them, we can easily say, please take down this post simply because this is propagating actually a disinformation or fake news or misinformation. So kung meron kaming close relationships sa kaya, at kung may guidelines or regulation tayo, then non-compliance with our guidelines or regulation would mean election offense. That's under the law pagka hindi sila sumunod. At number three, we can easily punish yung mga kandidato na hindi susunod simply because that can also be a ground for disqualification and also a ground for as an election offense.
Attorney, pakiulit lang, can we elaborate on those consequences that the candidates may face if they fail, let's say, to register their online campaign platforms or they disclose or did not disclose information dun sa mga AI na gagamitin nila?
Non-compliance with the COMELEC guidelines or resolutions on campaigning, such as the one that we released, the guidelines on the use of social media, AI, and etc., would mean either, number one, disqualification because of non-compliance of our regulation. Number two, you can likewise be charged of an election offense because under Article 261 of the Omnibus Election Code, non-compliance or following the COMELEC resolutions is a ground for an election offense with an imprisonment of 1 to 6 years. So we do not want candidates to be facing cases like this, and therefore compliance and following the directive of the Commission is a must.
Okay, Chairman, who will be handling po the monitoring and the policing of these online campaigns? Is it the COMELEC? Is there a special team? Sino po ang magmo-monitor?
Meron po kaming task force na kinreate dyan po sa guidelines din po natin. Task Force KKK, Katarungan, Katotohanan. Yung task force po yan will be headed by the Education and Information Department, and we will be getting the support of our Citizens Arm, the NAMFEL, PPCRB, Participate Lente, and such other cause-oriented groups. And at the same time, we'll be tapping the help of the National Bureau of Investigation, the DICT, and such other government agencies. Because we honestly believe that to combat misinformation, disinformation, and fake news in social media, it should not only be a whole of government approach, but it should always be a whole of nation approach.
And Chairman, syempre, this is also alarming, especially if maniwala talaga yung mga voters dito sa mga deepfakes na ito. Would you say our voters are susceptible to these? Or they know naman how to discern kung ano po yung totoo sa fake?
The Filipinos are mature enough to understand and distinguish what is true and not. But however, ma'am, kahit sa deepfakes nga, hindi natin alam kung siya mismo yung nagsasalita. And especially yung mga kababayan natin na hindi naman gano'n na nagkakaroon kaagad ng fact-checking. And therefore, try to imagine, Ma'am Pauline, Ma'am Risa, a day before the election, one or two of you will be endorsing a candidate. Your voice, your face, the facial expression are yours. But hindi pala kayo yun. And maniniwala yung tao na kayo yun. And that's a day before the conduct of the election. So do you still have the time to rebut and to say that's not me? And therefore, to me, based on the understanding of the Commission, that should be countered. And the only way to do that is to offer punishment and at the same time to threaten everybody who will be doing that.
Well, Chairman, aside from this effort of the COMELEC para dyan nga sa artificial intelligence, the filing of the certificate of candidacy is just around the corner, October 1. Kamusta naman po ang mga preparations for that, Chairman?
Yes, Ma'am Risa, Ma'am Pauline. October 1 to 8 ang filing ng certificate of candidacy natin for national and local positions. Diyan po sa Bangsamoro, of which we are going to conduct the first Bangsamoro parliamentary election. It will be by November 4 to 9. Truly, we are now in the peak of the preparation. Ngayon naman po, more or less, we have been ironing out certain problems lang. But ngayon po, overall, more or less, nasa 100% na po kami sa aming preparation. And again, this is a warning to all the candidates. Sana naman they will follow the rules on the filing of the certificate of candidacy, meaning whatever are the items or facts that are needed in the certificate of candidacy, siguro po pag-aralang mabuti. Mag-consult sa lawyers, mag-consult sa mga experts sapagkat you do not want to be charged with misrepresentation katulad ng isang kinakasuhan namin ng misrepresentation because any statement, wrongful statement in the COC, that person can be charged with misrepresentation or perjury.
All right, but with that, thank you very much for your time. That was COMELEC Chairman, Attorney George Garcia. Now we're going to be pausing for another quick break, but when we return, the latest senatorial survey by Octa Research is out, and we'll look into the results with Octa Research fellow Guido David when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching the big story here on One News. Our prominent figures top the latest senatorial survey conducted by the Octa Research Group. 6 names enter the top 6 of the third quarter survey. First on the list are brothers Erwin and Ben Tulfo, while former Senate President Tito Soto, Senator Bongo, former Senator Ping Lacson, and Senator Bong Revilla 9 others stand a statistical chance to win for senator, including health advocate Doc Willie Ong, who has recently been diagnosed with cancer. The survey was conducted from August 28 to September 2. The 1,200 respondents were asked to choose 12 names they will vote for senator if the elections were held that time.
And we now speak to Octa Research Fellow, Professor Guido David. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, hi, good evening, Riza and Pauline, and to our viewers here on TV. Big story.
Sir, tanong ko lang muna because we know that the survey has been conducted already. May we know where exactly was the survey done? Was it here in Metro Manila, NCR? Was it in Visayas as well, in Mindanao?
Yeah, it's a nationwide survey. It's the part of the Tugon ng Masa third quarter 2024 survey of Opta Research conducted August 28 to September 2. So there were actually 1,200 respondents nationwide. So this is all over the Philippines, plus minus 3% margin of error.
Professor, ano po ang na-observe ninyo na changes when it comes to this particular survey in the third quarter, the senatorial survey, compared to the previous one?
Yeah, and that's important to highlight because we generally see consistency with the names, and we also see that with other results that come out. But consistently, Congressman Erwin Tulfo is still number one, and his brother, older brother, Ben Tulfo is number two, and they're actually, close, 1 and 2. And then we see some very familiar names. And then also, it's the first time we're seeing Camille Villar within the range of 17 to 26. She has 17% of respondents in the survey. And I would like to note that 2 quarters ago, she was just at 3%. So that's a big jump from 3% to 17%. But again, we're still seeing very familiar names, including 3 from the Duterte family and some very familiar incumbents and former senators.
Well, speaking of Camille Villar, Professor, she did climb double digits. It's almost a 14-point increase for Camille Villar. She made it to the top 20. Not in the top 12, pero pasok nga po siya dito sa top 20. How rare is it to have a double-digit increase in the survey? And what do you think is the reason behind her jump?
Well, to be fair, I've been seeing campaign ads. So, I mean, not campaign ads, but, some billboards, I think related to them, some candidates or possible candidates. So it's not rare to see a double-digit jump. So it depends on the context. But generally, if it's an incumbent, the numbers are generally stable already. So we're seeing some consistency between them.
Professor, explain to us the numbers naman when it comes to former President Rodrigo Duterte, because he's at 33%, which is the same from the previous survey, but he's now in the lower, kumbaga, ranking from dati na 6 to 13th place. Now he's from 7 to the 15th spot. Why is this happening, and would you say this is a significant change?
Well, his numbers are consistent, but I think for many respondents, when they respond to the survey, when they select their candidates, they also think about people who are likely to run. I mean, even if their name is there, because this is an aided survey. So they might not select someone that they feel might not be running. So there's that aspect of that. But his numbers, like he's mentioned, has been consistent. It's just that the race is becoming more competitive. And you can actually see there are several names bunched up with 33 to 35% responder preference. So it's going to be a very, quite a competitive senatorial race for 2025.
Professor, how about the other Dutertes? We're going to need you to wear your political analyst hat here. Do you think weakening na po ang Duterte brand? If so, bakit kaya?
Well, I mean, that's a possibility, but not necessarily because, again, former President Rodrigo Duterte is still in the top 12. And there's not as much awareness yet, or even if there's awareness yet, it's not quite clear if the other two Dutertes will really be running. So it's kasama dyan si Pulong and si Baste. And they're within range. They're both around 16 to 24. And I think if they consolidate in one candidate, it's very possible that they'll get at least one Duterte in. There's a very realistic chance of that happening.
Sir, I also wanted to get your thoughts on Doc Willie Ong. It's very unfortunate, as we know, he's been diagnosed with cancer. But here, he was able to get a good spot sa survey na ito. What do you think of his numbers?
Yeah, I like his numbers. I mean, I think he could have been a senator if he ran for it in 2022. So, I mean, hearing the bad news, the very sad news for Doc Willie Ong, and our prayers are with him, and I'm sure you have all expressed prayers as well for the good doctor. We now won't know. I mean, if he's probably not going to be running. I mean, it would be unfortunate for the country.
Professor, what do you think kumbaga, influences the preferences of Filipino voters when it comes to these surveys?
Well, a lot of it is awareness. I mean, if you're running a nationwide campaign, you must have awareness in the whole country, and that's very difficult. I mean, even if you have a baluarte, in one province, if you're not known in the whole nation, then it's quite difficult already. That's already an obstacle. And so there's an advantage for established brands, and that helps them to keep good numbers. And that's why we're seeing a lot of very familiar names there, incumbents, well-known personalities, former senators, former presidential candidates, etc.
Professor, this third quarter survey of Okta Research, do you think this will be a good basis for those looking to run, to base their whole campaign on this survey to see if, or decide if they will be pursuing to run in the upcoming 2025 midterm elections?
Well, strategically, I mean, they could use whatever information that they can get, so including this survey. But anyone who is getting at least 10% or even less, I mean, campaign hasn't started yet. People haven't filed their candidacy. So, they could have a realistic chance once the campaign period starts. And there will be changes. There could be a lot of changes, especially with who would be endorsing who. And that will be changing a lot of the dynamics. And it also depends. I mean, there might be some people not in the list who might actually be running, and we might not even be prepared for that, and there might actually be competitive candidates. So my advice is, anybody who wants to run, I mean, they should run. I mean, they can use this as a guide. And then for our voters, again, I remind them na sana let's study the candidates. Pag-aralan natin ano yung mga nagawa na nila, or what their accomplishments and credentials are, and let's vote for our country. So let's vote, let's choose the best candidate. Let's do our own research, not based on surveys, but based on kung ano yung mga accomplishments nila or yung mga kaya nilang gawin to help the country.
Professor, since you mentioned some candidates were not on the list, former Mayor Isko Moreno and Abby Binay were in the quarter 2 results, pero ngayon po wala po sila dun sa lumalabas na listahan. Why do you think this happened?
Well, actually, see, Abby Binay is in our list. I think she is number 16 to 24 with 22%. So she's within range. Definitely has some very strong prospects. See, Isko Moreno, I believe that he's going for a mayor. So, but that could change. So, again, we base the list. This is an aided survey, so we base it on whatever information we have, and sometimes that could be inaccurate. So we might have the wrong information. Baka naman tumakbo siya for senator, and he has a good chance if he runs for senator.
Okay, Professor, when are you planning to release your fourth quarter survey, and are you anticipating more accurate numbers already from your respondents? And I'm guessing this will be released after the filing of COCs na po, no?
Yeah, probably around November to December. I mean, we are confident in the accuracies of the results. But of course, as you mentioned, once we have the COC, then we'll have a complete list of who's actually running. So wala nang guesswork involved.
All right, and with that, thank you so much for joining us tonight. That was Octa Research Fellow, Dr. Guido David. All right, before we go, we still have our time for our big picture tonight. Well, the island of Palawan held a coastal cleanup, particularly in the island's famous beaches, which was hit by the recent storms and habagat. And so our big picture tonight was taken by News 5 reporter Brian Basa. As you can see here, it's trash brought to shore by the storms, and they are not just local trash. Some they picked up are trash from China, Malaysia, and even Vietnam. Sabi ng local officials, lagi raw kapag may bagyo, napapadpad ang mga imported na basura sa Palawan. And they believe these are from ships that pass near the island and throw their trash overboard.
It's a sad sight to see.
It is a sad sight to see. We saw Brian there holding plastic bottles. And it's quite alarming na nanggagaling pa daw to overseas. It's not even local trash. But what's good is there are efforts to clean up. And hopefully more people can also join the cause. Because it's very important, diba, to always take care naman of our environment, especially a beautiful place like Palawan.
That's true. And we only have, this one whole earth to live in. The climate is definitely changing. We are experiencing horrible rains. Pag mainit, sobrang init. And I think, because of how we've not been taking good care of, the planet.